the bracket to indicate the smallest integer greater than or equal to the n LCL, like this. Smallest integer greater than or equal to. So we call this is not ceiling. This is a ceiling. This is called the bottom. The bottom. The bottom. So for the bottom of the 4 equal to 4, then the 4.3 use a bracket and the bottom is 5, and the 3.8 is the 4. This is the smallest integer greater than or equal to this. Okay. So this is n LCL, and this. So this is the bottom. This is called a bracket. This is called a ceiling. The ceiling. That means this is top. The ceiling. And denote the largest. No, hold on. Oh. LCL denote the smallest integer that's greater than that. No, the largest integer. This is the largest integer less than or equal to n LCL. So this is if. This is 4 is 4, right? And it is a 4.1. So it is defined as this is largest integer less than or equal to the largest less than or equal to. So if it is 3.8. So what is the ceiling? What is the ceiling? 4. This is the largest integer. This is denote the largest integer less than this is 3. Right? This is less than. This is the largest less than. So this is ceiling. See the difference? One is the bottom, the other is ceiling. 一个是天花板，一个是什么？地板的意思。No, this is not bottom. It's called the floor. Floor. It's called the floor. So that is called the floor is the largest integer. This is the greater than or equal to. And the ceiling defined as this is the smallest. Yeah, the smallest integer that's greater than that. So one is the ceiling, the other is the floor. 一个叫地板，一个叫什么？天花板。So this is largest lesson. Okay. So in this case, then which apply to compute this. In terms of equation, we like to use U-chart. U-chart transform into the C-chart, and use the floor operator and use the ceiling operator. One is this is the smallest integer. This is greater than or largest, or the larger integer this is less than. So the limit on the summation equation follow that affect the total number non-conformities observed in the sample of an inspection unit must be an integer for sure. So n may not be an integer, so it can be multiplied. Sometimes it is not integer, it can be. However, we would like to use Poisson distribution. The Poisson, the random variable of the Poisson distribution gotta be integer. It gotta be integer. However, and it is not necessary to be integer. 来，我提醒一下，考试的时候注意， ，n 不一定要是整数。有时候我今天检查这个布块，我可以检查1.2倍的布块，可以检查0.8块的布块 ，right？ 比如说我的这个 sample 我是一个卷轴，我可以检查3.5个卷轴，但是进到这个计算要计算 Poisson distribution，Poisson distribution 的随机变数是什么？一定要是什么？整数。Okay, that will be the difference. The random variable got to be integer. However, n is not necessary to be so. Okay, low defects. I think we're gonna skip that. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. The low defect, it is not necessary to be the prefix. We're going to discuss. Okay, let me see that this sample size. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. Choosing harder title. Okay, let me review. Determine. Okay, from here. Okay. Please turn to page. Determine which characteristic to control and where to put the control chart. Page 312. 312. At the outset of a control chart program, so program that means typically exercise in company or exercise in an enterprise. So let me hurry up. And it is usually difficult to determine which product or process characteristics should be controlled, or at which point in the process to apply the control chart to. So typically we're going to consider the CTQ, critical to quality. The critical to quality. So sometimes it can be screened out by the design of the experiment. Experimental design to screen out those critical factors. Or in machine learning, nowadays, typically there's a lot of different tools from machine learning have been developed, such as a feature selection. So DOE will be the most straightforward method. We just run the experiment, which will be addressed in the graduate study, the graduate course in the graduate school. Then the feature selection is already open, available in Python. You just run it, and there's open sources, and there's a scikit-learn. In Python. Okay, the feature selection, there's 3 different types. The first one is called the filter method. Second, we call this is embedded method. And the other, we call it the wrapper. This is 叫过滤法、嵌入法、包覆法，来记起来。老师再讲一遍 ，filter 叫过滤，第二个叫嵌入，第三个叫包覆。So since this is totally beyond the scope of this course, I just bring a note to you in the future. You like to have an advanced study in the graduate school, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. So the filter method, embedded method, and the wrapper method. Okay, then CTQ. Typically, how can we screen out? Most straightforward in within the context of this course, we're going to use Ishikawa fishbone diagram to screen out what is the most critical one, right? Then there's several guidelines that can be followed. At the beginning of a control chart program, control chart should be applied any product characteristic or manufacturing operation believed to be important. You're going to trust your domain. So you need to trust your domain. Which factor should be taken into consideration? Then, belief based upon the domain, and chart will be provide immediate feedback as to whether they actually need it or not. So when we will construct it, there's a feedback. Then you understand, is that really matter to the quality of the product? Then understand it is necessary to put it in or not. Second, the control chart found to be unnecessary should be removed. Once I put all of them into control chart, however, some of them may not, may be redundant, so those should be removed. Then other, that engineering and the operator judgment indicate may be required, should be added. Sometimes, sometimes if you, the result of some additional experimental result, then can guide you going to add some extra. So more control chart will usually be important at the beginning than after the process has been stabilized. Before the process has been stabilized, has been considered in control, before you can trust, then we would like to put more variable than you expected. Then third one, information on number of title control chart in the process should be kept current. So it is best to separate record on the variable and the attribute chart. So sometimes we would like to count. This is the product. We would like to evaluate the diameter, the length, and the weight. And then the variable control chart should be utilized. If we like to calculate how many cookies are defective within a pack, then attribute control chart should be utilized. Okay? So in general, after control chart are first installed, we often find that the number of control chart tends to increase rather than steadily, and sometimes going to run it and going to remove it. It is considered unnecessary. Then after that, it will usually decrease since you understand the process, get more insight more. You understand the process more. You understand why you should put the control chart more. Then you're going to remove those redundant ones. So once while the process stabilized, typically find has been the same number chart from 1 year to the next. So process stabilized, then that will be fixed, even though it moving forward to the next year. So it won't be any difference. Once while it fixed. On the contrary, once while you think you're going to add more, that means the process changes, or there's additional product need to be processed. The whole process has been changed. Then the control charting technique should be changed as well. Then, however, they are unnecessarily the same chart. Okay, if the control chart are being used effectively and the new knowledge is being gained from the key process variable, we should find that the X and the R chart increases and the number of attribute control chart decreases. So that means the knowledge has been gained more than the variable control chart will be more used used more than ever than the attribute control charts. So at the beginning of the control chart program, that will be usually more attribute control chart. So apply to the semi-finish, the finish unit, or the WIP. The working process. So counting how many finished product or semi-finished product or semi-assembly, it is defective or not. So typically going to show you the proportion or what is a fractional proportion. And okay, so the earlier then the process can be established, the better. So as early as possible. So control chart are online process monitoring procedure. They should be implemented and maintained as close to the work center as possible. This is called an online quality tool. This is an online quality tool. So, yeah, online that means the control charting. This is a monitor the ongoing process. They call it online. So the feedback will be quite rapid. So that means what is offline? We collect the data and bring to the computer to the calculation and analyze those data and bring those results back to the process engineer. Tell the process engineer what the action should be taken subsequently. That's called the offline. Let me say it again. If I collect the data from the process, go back to the laboratory and do some calculation and perform the analysis of the data and get a conclusion and bring the conclusions back to the process, then the whole procedure, that's called offline. 线下把资料拿起来，走到实验室去运算算完毕之后，有了结果，又带回到线上去告诉什么他要做什么改善，这叫做离线的品管。线上的品管是直接架管制图，一跑出界限就出警告，这叫线上 （online and offline）。So the process operator and process engineering should have the direct responsibility for collecting the process data, maintaining the chart, and implementing the results. That's why we call the online quality tool. Okay, then the last one, the out of the control action plan called the OCAP is a vital part of the control chart. Once you have an out of control signal, which need to be further investigated. 不要再看手机，无聊。说一下无聊。Then we're going to investigate what is the assignable cost that is corresponding to that fault or out of control signal. That's called the OCAP. Okay, choosing what kind of the title control chart for your personal reading. This is already mentioned in the class. Okay, then SPC. So I think that's good. Okay. Okay, then. Next. Chapter 7. Okay, chapter 7, 7.3. And 7.9 and 7.30 30 and 7.46 something like and 7.59. Okay, so going to do from 1 week from today. 还有加上那个 mini test and then the
前面那一个
Yeah. Okay, see you next week. Yeah, happy holiday.
哎，我们1楼拍照。
不要赶吃饭嘛。对啊，奇怪哎。
我那里留着，那里留着。